Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Of course, all eyes on this. In this video, I want to get to the most likely path of this, how quickly it develops, and the chances that it develops quicker than what the models are seeing. And that is always a concern right across the Caribbean. We saw that with Beryl, so keeping an eye on that. I want to get into the icon, the European and the American model, even touch on the Canadian model, the wind outlook, and the rain outlook. The rain is going to be the immediate concern with this for us in the Eastern Caribbean, right? That's going to bring in some heavier rain, even as an unnamed system in some spots. That means flooding and the potential of some mudslides. So this is what I'm watching. And I do believe that down the road, this area here will eventually become a hurricane. Not so much right here, but more so as it gets over here, okay? So we're going to hear a lot about this from other entities that this is becoming a hurricane. Not yet. Again, most folks don't focus on us across the Caribbean. So watching this in the short term, slowly developing. And then, yes, down the road, I do believe it will become a hurricane. So it's this spot here, and you can see it's not better organized right now. It doesn't look like a whole lot. This area may try to develop a little bit, but back behind this, not as much. Now, we've seen these big tropical waves come up, but you see this one, that looks kind of strong. But the angle of the satellite sometimes makes them look a little stronger than they actually are at that point. But this is the spot here, and that's eventually going to bring us in some rain. I'm still watching the Gulf of Mexico for some of the rain. The Bahamas, we had a lot of heavy rain overnight, right? You see it right there. Tons of heavy rain near New Providence, over toward parts of Freeport, or at least close by. So some heavy rain, but that's not organized. Keeping an eye on that, and elsewhere scattered storms. But all eyes on what's going on off to the east. So let's get into that. Let me just give you all the information I got, what I'm seeing in this map. I didn't really tweak it too much from yesterday. There's going to be some changes on that, but I try to do my best to keep it as consistent based on what I'm seeing. I work as hard as I can behind the scenes to give you just the correct information, to kind of cut through all the bad information out there. The next couple of days, I see this working through into the Eastern Caribbean as a rainmaker, even some rain for us in Trinidad and Tobago. We'll get some rain all the way up through Anguilla. I'm not seeing it as the named system. Could it spin up quicker? Yes, the icon model still shows that. I'll be watching that behind the scenes. Let me do the worrying in the short term. I just want you to know that we're going to get some of that heavier rain at times. It's not super organized. That means some of us may get nothing. Others get dumped on with that potential of flooding. And then by the time we get into about Wednesday, whatever this area is should be just to the south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Here's Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, and Anguilla right here. The ABC Islands, I'm hoping it gives us a few showers where we need it. Curacao, for example, we have been so dry. But this should be near Haiti, south of Haiti on Wednesday. At that point, it may start to try to develop. So know that for us in Jamaica, I am watching this. If this spins up into a tropical storm before it moves close to Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, I will give you plenty of advanced warning, heads up right here. Right now, it should be a big blob of rain approaching Jamaica and getting closer by Thursday. And then at that point, some of the models try to take it a little bit more to the north, more and more, a little bit more to the west, and then eventually to the north. So the Yucatan of Mexico, Belize, Honduras, even Nicaragua, I'm watching this because at this point it should be strengthening into a tropical storm or a hurricane. Should develop into a hurricane at this point over here, and yeah, potentially kind of lifting its way back into the Gulf of Mexico long term. So in the short term, I'm putting some of us under monitor mode. And please spread the word about this. Not that there's a huge system that is about to just kind of clobber us or anything like that, but I just want to get that proper word out about what's going on with this system. So thank you for just spreading the information about this. You can subscribe, not to subscribe, whatever you want to do. Just want that right information out there. So anywhere from Anguilla through Trinidad and Tobago, monitor mode. What does that mean? What does that mean for us in a system like this? Well, it's a tropical disturbance. It's not a named system, but there are going to be these pockets of some heavier rain, so that flood risk is going to be higher. I'll try to break it down island by island, but it's going to be very difficult. Some of our islands may get some heavier rain, others not a whole lot. We'll get into those rain totals in a moment, and know again that I'm watching to see if this does spin up earlier. We know how these water temperatures are. I'll show you that. Again, some of the conditions are conducive for it to get a little bit stronger quicker. Now, long term, all of the models, the icon, That's the German model. The American model, the GFS, the European model, and the Canadian model all have this area becoming a hurricane, but not right now. It has it becoming a hurricane down the road, either near the Western Caribbean or in the Gulf of Mexico days and days from now. But yeah, this can spin up a little bit quicker, but all the models are now saying, hey, this is going to develop into the next name system. Next name on the list is Francine. So let me break down the models. Let's start with the icon model. And this one's been a little more aggressive, and it's been a slightly off. At this point, it should have already been a tropical storm according to the icon model yesterday, but you can see here's Trinidad, for example. Here's Barbados, Dominica, St. Lucia, and you see here some of the extra rain. At this point, this is Monday. It is trying to spin it up into maybe a tropical depression as we work our way into Monday. Either way, forecast holds heavy rain. Could get some gusty winds at times, but look how quickly it develops it. And I don't want to discount this. I'm also watching this area near Texas and Louisiana, but the icon model seems to be spinning things up a little bit quicker than what has actually been happening. I don't just look at the models, watching all the environmental conditions and kind of what really happens out there, but I don't want to discount this because the water temperatures are so very warm, and then it has it at near hurricane strength as it works its way into the Western Caribbean. This here would be, I'll slow this down in a second, this here would be by Saturday morning, so we're talking a week from now, some sort of hurricane, even a significant one that would be getting a little bit closer, kind of pulling out of the Jamaica, Cayman Islands area and working its way into the Western Caribbean, and then eventually trying to lift up to the north or getting closer to Belize and Honduras. Big question mark. Again, this is a week from now, but the icon model does have this becoming a hurricane in the Western Caribbean. At what point? A little bit hard to tell, but that's one solution I'm watching. Now, the American model, this is, and I'm going to show you the European model. Both of those models are pretty similar, and that gives me a little more confidence, but it shows here, this is on Monday, not organized, but some of that rain moving in, but you see how it's kind of spotty, and I'll zoom down closer in a moment, but we're going to see some of those downpours that could give us, depending on your island, could give us some of those mudslides and give us some of those issues as far as just regular old flooding, high pressure and control, keeping this moving off to the west. Then this here is by Tuesday. You see it here, the American model saying, hey, this is not organized quite yet. Still watching some of the heavier rain back through parts of the Bahamas, keeping an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. You see that buildup of rain right there. But by the time we get into Wednesday, the American model is saying, hey, yeah, I think this is going to start to become something. Well, here we are in Jamaica. So what's going to happen here? Well, it just depends on how soon it spins up, but at the least, we're going to have some very heavy rain that would be nearby by the time we get into Thursday. You see it here. The American model is starting to develop it at this point. Also watching this area near Louisiana here. Tons of rain up in this area trying to lift out of the Bahamas. But here's this area that could bring us heavy rain in Jamaica on Thursday, pushing it near the Cayman Islands by Friday. Now, by the time we get into Friday, it would be developing. So at this point, the American model and the European model are saying, hey, this looks like it'll be a tropical depression or tropical storm. So yeah, a tropical storm is possible in or near Jamaica by the end of the week, by about Thursday. Possibility. So when we have time to watch that, I'll be fine-tuning that further in tomorrow's video. But then you see it here again, a little bit of a slow go. And one thing I'm watching here are these fronts. So if you're watching now from Belize, for example, or Honduras, hey, is this coming right at me? Well, there's a couple avenues for this to start to lift to the north. This is showing kind of a sloppier system by Sunday of next week. So a week and a day from now, some sort of tropical storm or developing hurricane right in here. Yeah, near Belize, the Yucatan, watching over toward Cuba and the Cayman Islands, and then generally lifting to the north. And yes, as this does lift to the north, if we were to go out in time further, it could bring it to us significant hurricane status in the Gulf. Would it shoot toward Texas or parts of Mexico? Would it swing back toward Florida? That's a question mark at this point. This is way down the road. So we'll just see how that shakes out together. Now here's the European model, pretty similar to the American model. So here's Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. Let me take you out in time here, stop the clock. I want to swing you to Monday. Let me stop it here. The green would be the rain. So you could see some significant rain in some areas scattered about this here by Monday. So that's why I mentioned monitor mode for us, basically Anguilla through Trinidad and Tobago. We'll just see how much rain we get. But if we're in monitor mode, we're aware of this. We're letting people know that, hey, we've got some of that rain around. These are the fronts I'm watching. That could kind of help grab this area eventually and lift it to the north. Going out in time here, This is on Tuesday. Tuesday, some increased rain near Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands. That's what the European model is showing. And on Tuesday, it's still not showing development. I am still very cautious with that, though, because of those water temps. I'll show you the environment in a moment. Then near Haiti, you get over toward Boston Blue, Jacmel, some heavier rain would be possible. Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, by the time we get into Wednesday. So this is Wednesday, not quite developed. And here we are in Jamaica right here. Here we are in eastern Cuba. So I'll keep my finger on Jamaica, and then you see this area working in. The European model has it developing by the time we get into Thursday. So on Thursday, just like the American model would say, hey, this is going to be a tropical depression or maybe even close to tropical storm status on Thursday near Jamaica. Now, we don't want anything, but I would rather a tropical storm than a hurricane if we get something, obviously. But some tropical storm-like conditions would be possible Thursday in Jamaica, moving into the Cayman Islands. Most would be just south of Cuba, and then the European model has this develop into a hurricane. This here going well out in time would be Saturday morning, so a week from now, a hurricane very close to the Yucatan of Mexico, watching over toward Cozumel, Cancun. Here's Belize, here's Honduras. It would just matter when it takes its turn. Does it turn a little bit closer to western Cuba? Does it turn a little bit later, or does it just kind of make its way toward Texas or parts of Mexico? That's the question mark I mentioned, right? This is way far out in time, relatively speaking. So will it kind of shoot up this way? Will it shoot that way? I don't know, but either way, it does show a very significant hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico longer term. I mentioned all the models making this a hurricane, and you can see it right there. This would be by the time we get into Monday, not of this upcoming week, but that following week. And these things change. So I just want to kind of give you an idea of what we're seeing. And then we'll see what happens, and we'll know that in just a couple of days from now. As far as the winds go, kilometers an hour and miles per hour here on your screen to give you a good handle to get everyone covered. It is showing some gustier winds, anywhere from about 35 to 40 miles per hour, or about 50 to about 65 kilometers an hour. So we're going to get some gusty winds, even though this is not a named system. Starting to get a little bit stronger as we get toward the middle of the week. This here is by the time we get into Wednesday. Now, this is based on the American model. I think it's having a little trouble. I think the winds here are actually going to be a bit stronger. So as we get into Thursday in Jamaica, I think we could have some gusts around 50 miles per hour or 80 kilometers an hour. That is a chance as this tries to develop Thursday into Friday. And you see how it kind of loses it here. There's not as much coloring as they should be. And I mentioned these are computer models. They don't always do a great job, but then it really starts to pick it up near the Cayman Islands. You see more of the whites in here, which would be 50 mile per hour winds or 80 kilometers an hour as this really develops into a tropical storm. So we'll wait and see on that. And what I'll be able to do over the next few videos is zoom down kind of island by island, very specific as far as where the winds would be if this does develop quickly, where the heaviest rain would be. Now, here are these water temperatures. You see here, Eastern Caribbean, 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Gulf of Mexico, 31 degrees Celsius, pushing 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Super warm water. That is only one ingredient, though. We need to know what's going on in the upper atmosphere. As far as that is concerned, the wind shear is not too high. That should allow those clouds and storms to build up, unfortunately, and allow this to eventually develop. And there are those hot pockets that I talk about, the heat content. This is a huge, huge concern, one of the biggest concerns of the entire hurricane season. We saw this with Beryl. This is not warm water, just warm water at the surface. The warm water is kind of down deep. Point being, that is just fuel for these things. As these things go over that water, it just spins up more warm water and just feeds these things. And that's why we've seen things rapidly intensify. And that's why you could tell that I'm using a lot of caution with Jamaica for us in particular. Because as it rolls over these hot pockets, yeah, it could spin up quicker than what the models are showing, and that's why I like to not just tell you things, but kind of show you why. You're smart, you got a good handle on things with me. So the next name on the list is Francine. Of course, we had Ernesto. Francine is the next name. It looks like we'll see that developing eventually over the next few days, then Gordon and Helene after that. Now here's the closer vantage point, and you can see the scattered showers and storms short term, watching out for the flooding parts of the Bahamas. We've had some of that rain, parts of the Gulf of Mexico, even southern Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, some rain, scattered storms possible for us today in Jamaica. So yeah, we're going to get some areas of some scattered rain for today, but all eyes on what's going on here. And you see that extra rain moving in. Now, this for us in Trinidad, yeah, it may be on top of us as far as rain goes tomorrow, or maybe a little bit more to the north. I mentioned it's kind of broken, so it's kind of a tough call, but obviously that rain chance is going to be higher, especially as we get into Monday. You see some of that rain moving in, and then after that, I do expect more and more development as this area starts to work work its way right into the Caribbean because those conditions I was talking about, the environmental conditions, are favorable for some more development. You see a little rain here, some rain here, not seeing development out of that. It's really this spot in here that we'll be watching, and then eventually heading closer to Jamaica as we get toward the end of the week. And yeah, the seas are going to build too, and we'll see how much they build. Here's meters. Here and here's feet, again, to keep everyone covered. Let's just go on time. Next couple days settled, aside from if you're stuck in some of those rain and storms. But this here is by Monday, elevated seas starting to work near and into the eastern Caribbean. And then as we pull forward here, this would be by the middle of the week, and you see things kind of building right in here. And if this develops sooner, those seas will be even higher. And even watching off toward just north of the Bahamas, southeast U.S., with all of that action that we've been seeing up there. Just want to keep our mariners up to date on that. Now, as far as the rain goes in the short term and over the next few days, these are 3-day rain totals. I am concerned about the flooding northern and central Bahamas. Thank you for leaving me those comments. Watching us in the Bahamas, not a named system, but boy, that rain has been so heavy from overnight into this morning. Put your location down and what you've been getting out there in the comments, and I'll watch out for that. And some of that has been scraping by Cuba. And then you can see here elsewhere, scattered areas of rain and storms, 50 millimeters to 2 inches of rain if you do get some rain. Now, as we get back through Puerto Rico, same thing, Antigua and Barbuda, but it's really going to be some of that rain pulling in into Monday that will give us some of those higher totals. And you see some of this moisture here. A lot of white showing up near Barbados, through Trinidad, back through Grenada, which would be 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. We could see that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, near St. Lucia, Martinique, and Dominica. That's that moisture pulling in, but it will be kind of batches. It could be here, or it could be here, or it could be here. Kind of the scattered but heavy areas of tropical downpours. And some of that too, northeastern Venezuela, back toward Guyana, and then we swing into our western zones. Look at this, Costa Rica and Panama, some heavier totals. Please use some caution, Costa Rica, and especially western Panama, for that chance of some very dangerous rivers with some of the runoff and that mudslide potential. We've seen a little bit of that Guatemala, El Salvador, and extreme western sections of Honduras, and that rain chance has really picked up through Mexico as a whole, where we've seen a lot of significant flooding over the last few days. So Jamaica, all eyes on this system off toward the east of us. Rain chance scattered about, still 50 to 60% chance. Cayman Islands, 40 to 50% chance. All eyes on what's trying to develop out there in the Atlantic. Trinidad and Tobago, you see a rain chance higher tomorrow. Watching out for some areas of flooding. Headed to church tomorrow. May even run into some rain in the morning. You see that rain chance Barbados. It's going to be creeping up. But I mentioned it's not just this whole kind of batch of rain. It is a bit broken. So we'll be watching out for it being scattered. St. Lucia, especially Sunday night into Monday, that rain chance is going to be picking up. Grenada, it'll be higher on Monday. Scattered areas of heavy rain will be possible. Same thing, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as this tropical disturbance that is trying to develop starts to work in. Martinique, we're going to have some of that chance of some of that flooding. Martinique back through Dominica, seeing Dominica rain chance about 60 to 70% on Monday, and elevated in Guadalupe on Monday. And you see all of this kind of reflected in that 3-day forecast. Antigua and Barbuda, it's not going to be all day at all on Monday, but we are going to see some of that rain kind of just wrapping in, right? Some scattered areas of rain and storms, and we'll see how that clips us by. St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat on Monday, we're up to 60% chance, and another 60% chance in Anguilla and St. Bart's. Most of the heavier rains to the south, but we are going to see some of that trying to wrap in, and the rain chance about 60% on Monday. St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, rain chance 40 to 50% across Puerto Rico as this tries to develop. Most of it should be down to the south. Same thing, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, but the rain chance will be a little bit higher Monday into Tuesday. In Bahamas, of course, I've been highlighting that. Northern and central Bahamas, watching out for that flooding, not just today, but over the next couple of days. Turks and Caicos tomorrow and Monday, rain chance at about 40%. Dominican Republic, 40 to 50% chance, and that rain chance up to 40% Sunday and Monday across Haiti. We swing back toward a rain chance of about 30% across Belize, but in Belize, we're watching what's happening in the Atlantic to see how close eventually that system may get to us. Aruba, rain chance stays kind of small, but it will start to pick up some for the week ahead. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. We're going to see it bump up a little bit, so hopefully we could get some much needed rain showers in some spots. Guyana, that rain chance is higher, running at about a 30% chance today in Suriname, up to a 50% chance for tomorrow. Watching out for some thunderstorms across Cuba, scattered about. Rain chance staying on the high side. Costa Rica, Panama, showing you those rain totals with that chance of some flooding. Nicaragua, rain chance will build a little bit the next few days. Same thing in Honduras, about a 30% chance of a shower or storm for today. Guatemala and El Salvador, rain chance stays on the elevated side, and it is up again around Mexico City. Watching out for those areas of flooding. Rain chance about 50% across the Yucatan of Mexico, so some scattered showers and storms. Northern Colombia, about a 30 to 40% chance, 30 to 40% chance in northern Venezuela, and we're looking at about a 20 to 30% chance across Bermuda. Could get higher as we get into that upcoming week. So a slowly developing disturbance. I'm watching out for any signs that it could try to develop a little bit quicker. Monitoring the flood risk. That is the first thing, and we are in monitor mode for that. Watching for any of that formation that would try to make this a tropical storm sooner than what those models are showing. And then it does look like eventually this area, this new area, is going to become a hurricane. So thank you for doing your part in getting the correct information out about this. Know that behind the scenes, I'm watching this nonstop to just see how it is developing and watching how the environment is handling this. I'll be going through the comments throughout the day. Be safe and have a good rest of your day.